Hi, my name is Mark Brownton, and I am a 6-month cancer-free bladder cancer survivor. I am 70 and been married to Laura Lee for 44 years this year. I served in the Army in Vietnam and was sprayed with Agent Orange during Operation Ranch Hand in 1968. There were 10 million gallons applied to the dense ground cover of Vietnam. This toxic ingredient known as dioxin has been linked to numerous chronic health conditions. There are two schools of thought about being a combat veteran. One is that you are so happy and thankful for coming home alive. The other is this: but now you have to live with the emotional and physical effects that never stop for the rest of your life. It sometimes seems better to have died in combat as a hero rather than come home and be miserable being a survivor. I have been experiencing problems with this issue for 50 years. I thought I had escaped bladder and prostate cancer due to the longevity of being cancer-free. But no, I had to find out in April of 2017 that my bladder was full of tumors. My situation began in 2011. I felt burning when going to the bathroom. I went to the VA in Loma Linda and they gave me Flomax, which was not what I needed at all. Shortly after that, I became incontinent. Then in 2013, I switched to Loma Linda University Healthcare and I had an examination of my bladder with a scope or cystoscopy, and it was clean. I continued to have issues with incontinence, and I would have to race to a toilet wherever I was. This issue got worse as time went on, and I visited family medicine at Loma Linda a number of times and asked about this issue, but there was nothing much that could be done. I still felt something needed to be done. Right about here, I believe, I should have requested another cystoscopy. I would have to get up as many as 8 times per night to go pee. As a tough combat Vietnam veteran, I was not about to wear Depends. I thought this would be the last straw. Little did I know what was about to come around. I was playing golf with a good friend of mine, Bill Otterman, one day, and he saw me hightail it to a tree to pee, and he said, "You are too young to have a bladder problem." Well, little did we know what was stirring up. In or around July 4th of 2015, my sciatic was causing pain in my piriformis muscle in my right butt, and it was killing me. I found out later it could have been the tumors pressing on the spine, creating pressure on the nerve. Now, since the operation, the pain has completely subsided. In December of 2016, I noticed blood in my urine occasionally, and I started researching what this meant. There were a lot of different answers to this, but they all said the same thing: if it continues, go see your physician. So this is what I did. I first got a CT scan, and when the results came in, I sat down with Dr. Batt at Family Medicine at Loma Linda. He took a hold of my hand, looked me in my eye, and said there were spots on my bladder. I had a bad cold at the time, and my eyes were watering, and he thought I was crying, which I should have been if I knew what was about to happen. But I told him I was okay, and he sent me off to urology at Loma Linda. We started a process of discovering how bad it was. On April 10th, Dr. Coe removed the tumors from my bladder, and after the next CT scan, Dr. Hu determined the bladder was completely engulfed in cancer. It was very serious. It was metastatic, which did not mean anything to me at the time. I found out it means it is moving into other parts of your body. First the prostate, then the lymph nodes, then the lungs, and then the bones. Unchecked, I would not live long at all, maybe 6 months. Dr. Hu discussed participating in a Loma Linda trial. Laura Lee and I thought this was a good idea, and we proceeded to schedule the trial with oncology. Dr. John Wong Ariel and his staff started the process of educating us on the chemo drugs used for this cancer. It was a series of 4 chemicals that would be infused once every 2 weeks for 8 weeks with hydration for 3 days after each infusion of the meds. The question of performing the surgery before chemo was talked about with Dr. Hugh. He thought under the serious situation I was in, it was better to stop the cancer cell propagation and then remove the bladder and prostate at a later date. I started a blog with caringbridge.org and started posting my journey in May of 2017. This was an easy way to keep everyone informed about what was happening, and they could respond right back with prayers and encouragement. At this point of time, I had gone to the Lord with prayer every single day. It was suggested to me by Chuck Swindoll to pray 4 minutes every day for 40 days and see what the Lord had in store for me. I also went to my Links Fellowship group, and they became a huge support for me. We met every Monday morning, and I only missed the day of my surgery. I got rides and support all the way along. I tried to drive myself one day, and they would not let me drive home. I do not know why, just because I could not stay awake during the meeting. I think I looked lower than a pregnant ant that day. They encouraged me in many ways, but the terms suggested to me by Pastor Al were to consider the new normal and press on. I used these a lot and still do. They prayed for me on a continuous basis and still do. Laura Lee, who was and has been the best caregiver I could have. She set everything she was doing aside and gave me her full attention. We would pray together to Jesus every day and look to the Lord for our strength. The cards and letters I got meant the world to me because I was really not in any mood to have any long conversations. My 3 Australian shepherds gave me great comfort, and their therapy was wonderful. I did have numerous friends stop by to share with me as well. Kevin and Don were such a great supporters. I was encouraged by a very close cancer survivor, friend of mine, Norma, to stay positive at all times and stay away from any negative thoughts. I started chemo in June of 2017. I was so well cared for by oncology nurses at A600. I loved each and every one of them. NP Lisa, Tiffany, Kirsten, Christy, Lisa, Gayleen, Deborah, and many more. I always felt I was loved and cared for like I was the only one there. All of the caregivers there, the pastors, the check-in personnel, the housekeepers, all gave great support. Our pharmacist, Teddy, was the very best. As bad as chemo can be, I fared pretty darn good. I did lose all my hair, eyebrows, whiskers, and the funny thing is I lost some toenails, and nails grew back over the other ones. I went in to get a pedicure, and the lady said, "You lost some of your toenails." And I said, "I should have a good discount then." I walked every day, even though it was a short one. I was not too hungry, and I believe I lost about 10 pounds during the 2 months of chemo. I drank lots of chicken broth, lots of water, and crackers. Laura Lee kept the smoothies coming with greens and proteins to keep me nourished. Dr. Hugh and I discussed if I wanted to go with a neobladder or a stoma pouch. He told me the urostomy stoma pouch was like a pickup. It was dependable and always worked great, while the neobladder was like a Ferrari. When it worked great. When not, it's a problem. I like Ferraris. I went with it. Surgery was scheduled for September 18th with Dr. Brian Hugh and his surgical team. We met first thing in the morning, and his team came in to my prep room, and we prayed together. The beautiful thing about Loma Linda is, although it is a Christian-based medical center, I have been treated by all types of godly people. many different cultures, nationalities, different religious beliefs, and all working together for the best results for the patient. Loma Linda, in my opinion, is by far the best hospital and university. I was in the operating room by 9 a.m. and out at 1:30 p.m., about 3 hours ahead of schedule. They had me up and walking by 5 p.m. that day. I was released just 3 days later and headed home. The care I got at Loma Linda Surgical Center in Redlands was the most excellent. I received many visits from Dr. Hugh as I was recovering. When I got home, I had to take it easy, but I needed to walk in order to keep everything moving. I also needed to drink at least 100 ounces of water every day. I started walking right away, about 500 yards to start with, and then a quarter mile, and by the second week I was walking half a mile twice a day. I slowly increased this to 3 miles a day. I still had no appetite, so I stuck with the soup, organic chicken broth, and Laura Lee smoothies. You have heard this before, but here it goes again. Do not eat processed food. Get as much sugar out of your diet as possible. Limit the amount of meat that you eat. Eat as much vegetables, herbs, and fruits as possible. I was catheterized after the surgery for about 4 weeks, and I also had a JP pouch that had to be drained daily from my abdomen cavity. This was removed along with the catheter bag about 4 weeks in. The hardest procedure to perform was a self-catheterizing every day to remove the mucus from the neobladder. However, once again, Laura Lee was right there to help me, and we figured it out pretty darn good and got the job done. This went on for about 3 weeks, but it seemed like it was no time at all. Weekly home care visits were very helpful. Everything was working really good. I was getting stronger, and I was still able to perform about 30 Kegel exercises 5 times a day. The first 6 weeks I had to get up about every hour and a half to void the new bladder. As time has passed, I was down to just twice a night, using 1 Depends at night and 1 Depends during the day. It is getting better every week. My nurse practitioner, Karen, kept me in great care and would not let me swing a golf club for at least 8 weeks. Can you believe it? I think she teamed up with Dr. Hugh and Chris, and they kept me in line. I started chipping and putting after about 4 weeks and then playing golf at about 9 weeks. 6 months later, I'm starting to get my swing back. I have been starting to walk once a week on the golf course with Laura Lee. In closing, I would like to encourage you to contact me if you have any questions or would like me to come alongside you if this ever happens to you. Tim has all of my contact information, so you can check with him or you can check with me after this event. Remember, if you have any bladder issues, get it checked quickly. If you have blood in your urine, go right away. There is no time to think about it. Go to Loma Linda Medical Center Urology and get it checked up right away. All of us men tend to overlook health issues. Please do not be that guy. Take care of it now. Laura Lee asked Dr. Brian Hugh what the top 3 causes for bladder cancer were, and his reply was, number 1, smoking, number 2, smoking, number 3, smoking. I'm sure there are other reasons, but those are the top ones, and I'm quite sure that Agent Orange is down the list a ways. The early awareness of bladder cancer will make all the difference in surviving this illness. Thanks to Tim and his team for putting on such a great day for us here at Indian Wells Country Club and fundraiser for Loma Linda Urology. Thank you, Loma Linda University Health, for what you have done with my illness. Blessings to all of you.